Economic storm clouds are brewing in the distance. There is no shortage of experts who see a gloomy future both for the world and for the USA. Politicians squabble in partisan gridlock as our current public debt nears $16 trillion, more than $50,000 per American citizen. The only way to keep the game going is for the Fed to continue to print more money to keep the vicious cycle of debt rolling. With each new dollar printed, we devalue the dollars in American savings accounts. In addition, we send a message to foreign bondholders that we cannot be responsible with our finances. Weak job markets and anemic GDP growth further deteriorate America's ability to repay her debts. Finally, we have kicked the can to the end of the road. Confidence in the dollar will collapse and send bond prices soaring. This is the event horizon, a point from which there is no turning back. Unable to borrow at reasonable rates, the federal government is finally forced to quit spending like a drunken sailor. Even unprecedented monetary easing by the Federal Reserve fails to keep the economy from total meltdown. It only exacerbates the problem by sending food and energy prices soaring. Pressed into austerity measures by our debtors, we finally have to make draconian cuts to social welfare programs. Hordes of Americans who have been taught to depend on the government for every meal they consume, housing, health care, and even cell phone services find themselves independent at last. With no education and no skills, they have nothing but their animal instincts to keep them alive. They take to the streets like great bands of zombies to seek revenge on the productive citizens whom they blame for their misery. The streets of America are turned into war zones in a matter of hours, and we fade into history as another empire that was. As real and present as this threat is, it is only one of many. Intelligence officials stay awake at night thinking about our porous borders and seaports and the ease of getting chemical and biological weapons through. Enemies of America are perfecting nuclear technology as we speak. They also continue steadfastly to improve delivery systems with which to bring those weapons to our shores. We have strategic missile defense systems for conventional attacks, but we are defenseless against a high-altitude nuclear attack. Such an attack would not evaporate cities, but would generate an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP, which would take out our power grid, fry computers, and topple our banking system. We could be in the dark for years after an EMP. Wild weather and seismic activity manifesting itself in earthquakes and tsunamis is never far from the current news cycle. The New Madrid Fault, Cascadia, and Southern California are all due for a big one. Hurricanes like Katrina show us how vulnerable we are to the groaning of our planet. What would you do if the lights went out for years? How would you get by if your money was worth nothing tomorrow morning when you wake up? How long would it take you to evacuate your home if there were a chemical or biological attack? And how long would you survive if you couldn't leave your home for weeks because of such an attack? Throughout history, empires have crumbled, disasters have come, plagues have decimated populations, and the false security of many has been snapped by the events they never saw coming. PrepperRecon is committed to helping you develop a plan that you can implement on any budget. Our mission is to conduct reconnaissance on a variety of sources and relay the intelligence we gather to you. Because you can't do everything does not mean you can't do anything. Do what you can when you can. Doing something each week will help you feel more secure, and you'll be better prepared for everything from a tropical storm to the end of the world as we know it.